Hey, so you know those anime moments you find really hypey and no one else talks about it? Like some scenes and moments you see and it was amazing, but it seems like you're the only one who thinks so. Well, me too. So instead of keeping these moments to myself, I'll be taking up the daunting task of putting my opinion out there for the sole purpose of weeping out and hopefully letting a few of you to these shows and such short moments. So boom, here it is. 3 anime characters with some cold moments I find are underrated. I'll be talking about Johan's confrontation of Richard from Monster, Fear's introduction episode from Bugo Dogs, and Mogami Keiji's altercation from Mob Psycho 100. They are in no particular order, so without further ado, let's go. Johan Liebert from Monster shows people just exactly how to share somebody's character development. Newer anime fans probably will know about this scene, so here's some background information. Johan Liebert is a psychopathic serial killer that leaves absolutely no trail of existence. Aside from the main character, Johan's sister, and a few others who have come in contact with the main character, no one really knows about him. Richard's a private investigator who was investigating a series of murders that Johan seemed to have a connection to. In his past, Richard was drunk and had shot and killed a criminal who was still a minor. This was done in self-defense as the kid had pointed a gun to him, but it was illegal for him to kill a minor, and so he lost his position as a public investigator. This also caused him to have bad relations with his wife and child, who went to live with his mother-in-law. Robert was thrown into an alcohol addiction and sought Dr. Reichwein's counseling. With this counseling, he was able to avoid the temptations of his alcohol addiction, which had been holding him back from turning a new leaf and was starting to build better relations with his family. His life was finally turning around for the better after years of self-hate and suffering. He came to grips with his murder of the minor and is finally going to see his daughter again after years the next day, although he was inevitably approached by Johan. As I had said previously, Johan leaves no trace of existence and seeks to destroy anything that says otherwise. Richard scooped a piece of Johan's existence and was therefore seen as a threat. Without being the main character, Richard knew Johan was dangerous and proceeded with caution. Johan invites him to a bar to get a drink and they both enter. However, Richard refused to drink due to quitting alcohol, and so Richard buys a bottle of liquor to go, and they go on a stroll. After a while of talking, Johan leads Richard to the top of a building. Up here, Johan reveals a valuable piece of information. When Richard had shot the teen, he was not drunk and was in a perfect state of mind. Richard denies this as there were eyewitnesses showing that he went to the bar. However, Johan asked the eyewitnesses if they saw him drinking, and no one saw him even take a sip of alcohol. Richard starts to panic as he realizes the truth was revealed. Richard was equally as shocked as the viewer, considering he was likely bottling up the truth, and felt that he had erased the event well enough that no one would be able to find this out, thus allowing him to let go of that memory as well as thinking he can let go of his guilt for free. However, even after forcing Richard to remember the real story, Johan continues to slam him and tells him how he wonders how his daughter would feel knowing her father is a cold-blooded murderer. At this point, Richard is stunned with disbelief, or rather, shock. All the progress he had made in his path to redemption and recovery, gone. All the work he had put in to turn his life around for the better didn't exist anymore. Then Johan proceeds to say one of the greatest dialogues and delivery I've ever seen.
Well, Richard, how about a drink?
If he didn't care what the outcome of saying that was, even though he knew full well what was going to happen. And he offers him the bottle of liquor he bought. The next time we see Richard, he is dead. Not because Johan killed him, it was because Richard drank out the bottle and committed suicide. He realized that the truth was out, and thought that the act he committed would never be forgiven. Johan never laid a finger on Richard, yet drove him to suicide. He took all of Richard's character development and threw it down the building in a matter of seconds. That scene is definitely one of the GOATs, as it served to solidify just how much of a monster Johan truly was. The next one I want to talk about would be Fyodor from Bungo Dogs Season 3. Since this is his first appearance, I won't need to supply you with any background information about any character. We'll need to know that the power system is called gifts. Essentially, there are abilities that people have, like for example, one gift can create illusions in an AoE radius around a user. Another gift can heal people fully, only if they're almost dead. It's not some sort of broken power or anything, but it can get pretty powerful, like controlling gravity. Regardless, the first time we see Fyodor, he was captured by a mafia group, specifically by a man named Ace who locks him in an underground room. He is your stereotypical crazy guy as he throws a wine bottle at Fyodor when Fyodor annoyed him. He then leaves the room and a young boy named Karma, basically a slave to Ace, cleans off Fyodor. They have a small conversation, and Fyodor potentially drops some clues as to what his gift is. When Ace returns, Karma leaves, and Ace locks the door. They then begin to play a game called High or Low, where you have to put a deck of cards face down, draw cards, and then guess if the next card you will pick up will be higher or lower. They play this game in an attempt for Ace to peacefully get the info he wanted out of Fyodor. While Fyodor wins as he perfectly guesses each and every one of the 52 cards, without giving Ace the chance to even have a turn. With a bit more clues in the area, Ace tells Fyodor that he had figured out what his gift is. Ace tells Fyodor that his gift is to trap people in his consciousness, as the surroundings seem to indicate this, and the card game to solidify this, as Fyodor should have no way in winning in the manner he did. This basically means that both Fyodor and Ace were trapped in a fake room, and their actual bodies were passed out cold. Not only that, but when Fyodor was first caught, he revealed his ability and how to get out of it. Ace had to escape Fyodor's subconscious, or else he would die in the real world, and so he used the escape method, which was killing yourself. In triumphant victory, Ace attempts to escape the ability by hanging himself. Now the thing is, Fyodor never used his gift. He lied about what his gift does and rearranged the room to help Ace believe that he was stuck in a gift. From the moment he was being followed, he orchestrated a series of events where he would lie about what his gift was for his outcome to occur. The idea that his gift was to trap people in his subconscious was a lie, and so was the escape route of killing yourself. He simply used his surroundings in such a way that Ace thought they weren't in reality. The reason Fyodor won every card in higher or lower is because he memorized individual markings on the back of each card. He outsmarted Ace on such a high level that he basically made Ace commit suicide all on his own. Fyodor merely spoke and made a person with no sense of guilt commit suicide. In fact, the reason the scene was so cold was that he made Ace kill himself happy thinking he had won, when in actuality he couldn't be any more wrong. Who else in animating could trick someone so soundly that they would willingly and with pleasure kill themselves? This is definitely a great and underrated moment in anime. The final villain that I'll be talking about is Mogami Keiji from Mob Psycho 100 Season 2. Mogami Keiji is different from the other characters here, as he actually uses powers to portray his message. Just as a quick backstory, Mob Psycho 100 follows the story of Mob, an incredibly powerful esper. However, Mob doesn't rely on his psychic powers and tries to improve himself as a person to impress his crush. He says that psychic powers aren't that big of a deal and you shouldn't treat them like they are. They aren't special and you shouldn't use them for any selfish purpose. Now, Mogami Keiji completely flips that around. Mob goes to exorcise a spirit haunting a young girl, but that spirit is incredibly powerful. He enters a girl's body using psychic powers where he meets Mogami Keiji. Mogami Keiji was an ex-esper that basically became evil and turned into a malevolent spirit. Instead of beating down Mob immediately, he realizes Mob doesn't think much about his powers, so he essentially puts Mob under an illusion. In this 3-month-long illusion, Mob has to live his life without psychic powers. The reason for this was for Keiji to show Mob how much he had been undermining his own powers, and a solution would show him his real life if he didn't have his powers. This 3-month-long illusion was basically hell for Mob. He was constantly being bullied, and because he wasn't smart or strong and didn't have much of a personality, he didn't have friends. The girl he was trying to exorcise was the main bully, but she had a lot of influence, so the people around her would pick on him too. His younger brother Ritsu, the person he heavily admired, ignored his suffering and acted like he didn't know who Mob was. All the while this was going on, Mogami Keiji tempts Mob to use psychic powers and hurt them, even though Mob never wants to, as it went against the principles he had ingrained into himself. In the end, however, Mob falls to Mogami Keiji and uses his powers on the girl and the 2 other bullies, with full intention to kill them. He loses himself and falls to despair and rage. Mob eventually gets past his ordeal and further strengthens his character as he acknowledges he has friends. However, he does have to accept the fact that maybe he would have done that to those people had he been alone. However, the real him has been able to make friends and connections and thus reinforces his character. But it still doesn't change the fact that Mogami Keiji flipped everything on Mob. He made Mob come to grips with his true name, which is something no one till that point had made him do. Compared to the other two, Mogami Keiji was inevitably a failure. Considering how deeply he affected Mob's character despite being a side villain is commendable. Mogami Keiji made Mob acknowledge his psychic powers and how much of a blessing they are. So he did impact Mob's ideals to a major extent, and this is excluding his further appearance later on in the show. Well, those were a few character moments I felt were underrated and deserve to be talked about more. Well, at least I really enjoyed these moments. If you have your own moments you feel underrated, feel free to put them in the comments down below. who knows, maybe give me a new video idea. I really enjoy making these videos where I can just weep out, so let me know if you want to see more videos like this in the future. But other than that, I hope you enjoyed the video, and see ya.